Jaren leaned against the railing of the observation deck, his eyes scanning the endless expanse of stars beyond the glass dome. Nova Arcadia floated silently in orbit above a distant blue-green planet, a city built by humans in the spirit of exploration and hope. Ships glided between platforms, their engines leaving faint trails of light that made the darkness of space shimmer like a painting. Jaren loved watching it all. It made him feel small and yet strangely alive, like he was part of something bigger than himself. Most of the time, Jaren preferred to stay in his workshop, tinkering with old drones and gadgets. He liked figuring out how things worked, understanding the patterns and machines that humans had left behind. But today, he wasn't alone. Mira stood a few feet away, her hands tucked in the pockets of her jacket, her dark eyes fixed on him with an expression he couldn't quite read. "Mira," Jaren said, trying to sound casual, "what brings you here? Aren't you supposed to be studying for the colony's science exam?" Mira smirked, a playful sparkle in her eyes. "I am," she said, "but I needed a break. And I wanted to find you." Jaren raised an eyebrow. "Find me? Why?" She took a deep breath, then said the words that made his heart skip a beat. "I want to show you something. Something. Secret. Something no one else is allowed to see." Jaren blinked. He knew Mira was brave and curious, sometimes too curious, but this was unusual. Very unusual. "Secret," he repeated. "Are you sure that's a good idea? You know the rules about the upper decks? They're restricted." Myra shrugged. "I'm sure. And besides, it's not like anyone else cares about them." "Not really. Come on, don't be a coward." Jaren hesitated. "Coward?" "Yes, coward," she said, smirking again. "You're always hiding in your little workshop, talking to your drones, pretending the world outside doesn't exist. This is your chance to see it. To actually do something?" Jaren sighed. Mira always had a way of getting under his skin. She was his best friend Lyric's older sister, which made this even more complicated. He had known her for years, but somehow she always managed to surprise him. And now, standing there with that determined look in her eyes, he couldn't say no. "Fine," he said finally. "But only because I trust you. And because I don't want to hear the end of it from Lyric later." Mira's grin widened. "Good. Follow me." They moved through the corridors of Nova Arcadia, past the bustling labs and living quarters, till they reached an elevator that led to the upper decks. The doors slid open with a quiet hiss, and they stepped into a narrow passage, bathed in dim blue light. The walls were old, scratched, and worn by time, but there was a strange beauty to the place. Pipes ran along the ceiling, and small ventilation ports hummed with the sound of recycled air. "This is creepy," Jaren whispered, feeling a shiver run down his spine. "Creepy?" Mira laughed softly. "It's amazing. These decks haven't been touched in decades. The first colonists used this space before the city expanded below. Look at all this history." Jaren's eyes widened. She was right. Rusted crates, old tools, and fragments of machinery littered the floor. Panels with faded writing hinted at the lives of the people who had lived and worked here long ago. It was like stepping into a museum, except this museum had secrets waiting to be discovered. They walked further, and Mira led him to a large metal door, half hidden behind a stack of crates. She pressed a small panel, and the door slid open with a low rumble. Revealing a wide chamber beyond, Jaren's jaw dropped. The room was enormous, filled with machinery that looked like it had been alive at some point. Lights flickered across panels covered in strange symbols, and in the center of the room was a tall, humanoid-shaped robot, dormant but imposing. "What is this place?" Jaren asked, awe in his voice. "It's a relic," Mira said softly, "from the first human colonies in this system. I found the maps in the archives and followed them here. Nobody believed me when I said it existed. But it's real, and I wanted you to see it first." Jaren approached the robot slowly, his fingers brushing against the cold metal. "It looks almost alive." Mira nodded. "That's because it might be. Some of these machines were designed to think, to learn. They weren't just tools. They were companions, helpers, even friends to the first humans who lived here." Jaren felt a strange excitement building inside him. This was exactly the kind of discovery he loved, the kind that made his heart race and his mind whirl with possibilities. I can't believe no one's maintained this place. There's so much history here, so much knowledge. We could study this forever. Mira smiled at him, a gentle warmth in her expression. We will, she said. But first, I want to ask you something. Jaren turned to her, curiosity mixed with caution. Ask me what? Mira took a deep breath, her gaze locking with his. Would you go on a real adventure with me? Not just through old decks or machines, but something bigger. Something we'll remember forever? Jaren's heart thudded. He felt a strange mix of fear and excitement. A real adventure? He repeated, yes, Myra said, stepping closer. And I want you to come with me not just as a friend, but as someone who matters to me. Someone I can trust. Jaren's mind raced. He had always admired Mira from afar, but he had never thought she would see him this way. And yet here she was, offering him not just a chance to explore, but a chance to be part of something meaningful. He took a deep breath and smiled, remembering the words he had often told himself. Love begins in the heart, not in the mind. Then yes, he said finally, his voice steady. I'll go with you. Wherever this adventure leads. Mira's eyes lit up, and for a moment, the hum of the machinery, the flicker of lights, and the silence of space outside the dome faded. There was only the two of them, standing together on the edge of discovery. Good, she said softly. Then let's start. There's something here, deeper in the decks. Something, I think, will change everything. As they moved further into the chamber, Jaren felt a thrill he had never experienced before. Every step echoed with possibility. Every shadow hinted at secrets waiting to be uncovered. He didn't know what lay ahead, but he knew one thing for certain. With Mira by his side, this adventure would be unforgettable, and as the door slid shut behind them, sealing them in with the mysteries of the past, Jaren realized that some invitations weren't just about curiosity, they were about trust, courage, and the first steps towards something that could change the course of their lives. In that quiet moment, surrounded by the relics of humanity's early space pioneers, Jaren felt his heart beat faster than ever before, not just from excitement, but from the knowledge that sometimes the bravest thing a person could do was to open their heart and follow it wherever it led. Little did they know, this strange invitation would not only uncover the secrets of the abandoned, but also challenged everything they thought they knew about the universe and themselves. Jaren and Mira moved deeper into the abandoned chamber, the air growing colder as the lights flickered overhead. The hum of the city far below was gone now, replaced by the soft sound of their footsteps echoing off metal walls. The farther they went, the more the chamber seemed alive, almost as if it were breathing along with them. Jaren couldn't help but feel a strange mix of excitement and unease. This place is huge, Jaren whispered, running his fingers over a panel covered in strange symbols. Never seen anything like it. How did you even find it? Mira smiled, a proud glint in her eyes. Old maps, diaries, notes from the first colonists. It took weeks to piece it together. I had to follow every little clue, every forgotten path, and finally, I found this. Jaren nodded, impressed. You really are something, Mira. Most people would have given up long ago. I never give up, she said lightly. Should know that by now. They turned a corner and the chamber opened into a larger space filled with rows of machines. Some looked like giant computers. Others resembled humanoid robots, their joints stiff with rust and time. In the center of the room stood a tall, sleek figure unlike anything Jaren had seen before. It had a smooth metallic body, with glowing lines running along its arms and chest. Its eyes were closed, but it seemed to hum with quiet energy, as if it were waiting for someone to wake it. Is that alive? Jaren asked, stepping closer. I don't know, Mira admitted, but I think it might be. Some of the first colonists built machines that could think, not just follow orders, but actually learn, adapt, even feel, in a way. This one looks special. Jaren crouched beside the figure, examining the panels on its back. It's incredible. The craftsmanship. It's like nothing we build today. Whoever made this, they were ahead of their time. Mira pressed a small button on the robot's chest, and the machine shuddered to life. Its eyes opened, glowing a soft blue, and a gentle hum filled the room. For a moment, Jaren and Mira froze, unsure what to expect. Then the robot's head turned toward them, as if acknowledging their presence. "Hello," the robot said in a calm, melodic voice. "I have been waiting for someone like you." Jaren blinked. "Waiting for us." The robot nodded. "The colony's in danger. I am Echo. I was built to guide and protect. But I cannot act alone. I need humans who can understand, who can think beyond what machines are capable of." Myra's eyes widened. "Danger? What kind of danger?" Echo paused, its glowing eyes flickering. "A comet. One that passes near this system every few decades. Its trajectory is unstable. If it strikes the planet below, it will destroy the colony. I was left here by the first colonists to warn the future generations, but no one ever returned to listen it till now." Jaren felt his heart race. He'd never imagined a comet could be dangerous enough to threaten an entire colony. Yet here, it was revealed through a machine built decades before he was born. "What do we need to do?" he asked, already feeling the pull of adventure in his veins. "You must activate the colony's ancient defense systems," Echo said. "They are buried in the upper decks. Only humans with curiosity, courage, and understanding can navigate the puzzles and mechanisms to bring them online. Time is short." Mira glanced at Jaren, excitement and determination flashing in her eyes. "Looks like our adventure just got bigger." Jaren swallowed hard. "Bigger is one word for it. Dangerous is another," Mira laughed. "Dangerous is exactly why it's worth doing. Come on, Jaren, we can handle it." Together they followed Echo through winding corridors, the robot's soft hum guiding them. Along the way they encountered strange machines that had fallen into disrepair. Some sparks flew from broken panels. Others emitted faint noises, as if testing their patience. Jaren's hands worked quickly, repairing circuits and connecting wires, while Mira deciphered faded symbols and directions etched into walls. Their teamwork was seamless, each step bringing them closer to the ancient defense systems. "Look." At this, Mira said suddenly, pointing to a large panel with a complex lock. "This isn't just a code, it's a puzzle. First colonists didn't want anyone to open it without understanding the patterns. They trusted humans to think, not just follow instructions." Jaren grinned. "Finally, something I was born to do." He knelt before the panel, tracing lines and symbols with his fingers. Slowly, carefully, he manipulated the components, watching as the puzzle began to respond. Lights flickered, gears turned, and with a quiet click, the panel opened. "Nice work," Mira said, clapping him on the shoulder. "I knew you could do it." Jaren smiled, feeling a surge of pride. "We make a good team." They continued deeper into the hidden world, uncovering control rooms filled with ancient computers, holographic maps, and more robots. Echo guided them, explaining the mechanisms of the defense system. It was designed to create a protective shield around the colony, capable of deflecting the comet's trajectory, but it required careful activation. One wrong move, and the system could fail. Hours passed, and Jaren and Mira worked tirelessly. Their hands were stained with grease, their clothes smudged with dust, but their spirits were high. Echo observed silently, occasionally offering advice in its calm voice, as they reached the final control room. A massive holographic display appeared before them, showing the comet's path in real time. Its fiery trail moved closer to the planet with every second. Jaren's heart pounded. "This is it," Echo said. "Everything depends on you now. Activate the shield sequence, synchronize the generators, and redirect the comet." Mira glanced at Jaren, her eyes steady. "We can do this. Together." Jaren nodded, taking a deep breath. He felt Mira's hand brush against his as they moved toward the control panels. A warmth spread through him, a mix of courage and trust. He realized that this bond they shared, curiosity, bravery, and understanding, was just as important as any technical skill. They worked in perfect rhythm, following Echo's instructions, solving puzzles, connecting circuits, and activating the generators. Sparks flew, lights blinked, and the room shook slightly as power surged through the ancient systems. Garen's mind raced, calculating, adjusting, and improvising where needed. Mira interpreted the symbols and feedback, ensuring every connection was precise. Finally, with a low hum that vibrated through the entire deck, the shield activated. A shimmering dome of energy rose around the colony, catching the light of the approaching comet. Jaren and Mira stepped back, holding their breath as the massive rock passed dangerously close, but the shield held. The comet's fiery tail brushed against it, sending sparks and ripples across the surface, yet the colony remained untouched. "We did it," Mira whispered, eyes shining with relief and triumph. Jaren let out a breath he didn't realize he was holding. "We really did it. I can't believe it worked." Humans, your ingenuity, courage, and hearts are truly remarkable. You have proven that even in the face of danger, humanity can rise above. The colony is safe. Jaren glanced at Mira, feeling a warmth he couldn't explain. "We make a good team," he said softly. Mira smiled, and for a moment, the fear and tension melted away. "The best team," she said. They stayed in the control room for a while, watching as the comet moved past, the danger finally gone. Jaren realized that this experience had changed him. He had faced something far greater than anything he had imagined, relying not only on his intelligence, but on trust, courage, and partnership. And Mira had shown him what it meant to be brave, curious, and alive. He felt something deeper than friendship growing between them, something quiet but undeniable. As they walked back through the abandoned decks, Echo following silently. Behind them, Jaren couldn't help but feel that this was only the beginning. There were still secrets in the city, mysteries waiting to be uncovered, and adventures that would test them in ways they couldn't yet imagine. But one thing was certain. Whatever the future held, they would face it together, and maybe the bond that had formed in the hidden world of machines and stars would become something even more powerful than they could have imagined. For now, the city below glittered peacefully, unaware of the danger that had passed. Jaren and Mira emerged from the upper decks, tired but triumphant, ready to return to their ordinary lives but forever changed by the extraordinary adventure they had shared. And as they looked at each other, Jaren remembered the words he had spoken to Mira long ago. Love begins in the heart. In that moment, he understood that it wasn't just a saying. It was a truth, one that had guided them through danger, discovery, and the beginning of something extraordinary. The colony had returned to its usual rhythm after the comet passed safely. Yet Jaren could not shake the feeling that their adventure was far from over. Echo, the sentient robot, remained with them, silently observing as they repaired and cataloged the ancient machines they had discovered in the upper decks. Jaren felt a strange sense of urgency in Echo's presence, as if the calm after the storm was only temporary. "Why are you still here?" Myra asked one morning as she polished a rusted control panel. "The comet is gone. The colony is safe. Don't you think it's time to leave?" Echo's soft hum filled the room. "My work is not yet complete. The systems you activated will hold for now, but there are other threats, subtler and more complex." The first colonists anticipated only one comet. They did not foresee the instability that follows such events. "You must be ready." Jaren leaned back, wiping his hands on a cloth. "Other threats? Like what?" Echo's eyes glowed steadily. "There are automated defense drones in the lower decks that have malfunctioned over decades. They follow outdated protocols and see any unexpected human activity as a threat. You must navigate them, deactivate what is dangerous, and restore order to the systems." Myra's eyes sparkled with excitement. "Sounds like a challenge. Just the kind we love, right?" Jaren laughed nervously. "Yeah. If by challenge you mean risking being zapped by a rogue robot, then absolutely." Despite the humor, Jaren felt a shiver of anxiety. This was no longer about discovery or excitement. It was about survival and responsibility. Still, he trusted Mira's judgment and Echo's guidance. Together, they moved toward the lower decks, where darkness and shadows stretched like silent obstacles, hiding machinery that might come to life at any moment. The descent was slow. Every corridor seemed narrower, every panel older and more fragile than those they had seen above. Occasionally, they passed machines that twitched or emitted soft clicks, evidence of centuries-old programming trying to wake. Mira held Jaren's hand briefly, a small but reassuring gesture, as if to say, "We can do this together." Finally, they reached the first chamber. A massive room filled with drones, their mechanical arms folded and sensors flickering. Ekka's voice was calm but firm. These units follow their original protocols. They will attack anything they perceive as a threat. You must disable them carefully. Improper handling could trigger a chain reaction, activating all units simultaneously. So, we're supposed to play robot whispers? Mira chuckled. Something like that. But I think we're better than whisperers. We're problem solvers. With careful coordination, Jaren and Mira approached the drones. Jaren's hands worked on the wiring and circuits while Myra traced patterns and symbols etched into the floor and walls. Together, they deciphered instructions left by the first colonists. Understanding how to reset the machines without triggering their defense protocols, each successful deactivation felt like a small victory, boosting their confidence for the challenges ahead. Hours passed. Sweat dripped down their foreheads as sparks flew from the machines under Jaren's careful adjustments. Myra guided him through each step, her voice calm and encouraging. "You're doing great. Remember, the patterns repeat. Once you notice them, it becomes easier." Jaren smiled briefly, grateful for her presence. "I don't know how I'd manage without you." "You'd manage," Mira said, squeezing his shoulder. "But it's better this way. We're stronger together." Our teamwork was flawless, yet the challenges grew with every chamber. Some drones required precise synchronization of multiple panels. Others demanded that they manipulate energy conduits with perfect timing. One room contained a massive energy cord that pulsed dangerously, threatening to overload if touched incorrectly. Jaren's technical knowledge and Mira's intuition were tested to their limits, but each obstacle reinforced their bond. They relied on each other in ways that went beyond skill. They trusted instinct, creativity, and heart. At one point, a large drone activated unexpectedly, its sensors locking onto Jaren. He froze, fear gripping him, and Mira shouted, "Jaren, move to the side." With a swift motion, she manipulated a nearby console, sending a diversion signal that deactivated the drone. Jaren's pulse raced as he glanced at her. "Thanks," he said breathlessly. I don't know what came over me." Mira smiled softly. "You were thinking too much. Sometimes you have to trust your instincts. And trust me." Jaren nodded, feeling a warmth spread through him. Her words were simple, but their meaning struck deeply. It was not just about surviving the challenges, it was about connection, teamwork, and courage, born from trust. Finally, they reached the heart of the lower decks, a massive central control hub, the command center for all automated systems in the colony. Panels stretched from floor to ceiling, displaying streams of codes, energy flows, and drone locations. Echo's voice guided them through the activation process, outlining the sequence required to synchronize every system. "This is the final test," Echo said. "One mistake could undo everything you have accomplished." Jaren glanced at Mira. "We've come this far. We can do it." Myra squeezed his hand. Together, they approached the panels and began the complex sequence. Jaren manipulated wires and connectors with precision, while Mira interpreted the cryptic codes and symbols that appeared on the holographic screens. Sparks flew, and alarms occasionally blared as minor errors were corrected instantly by their combined effort. Minutes stretched like hours. The energy core at the center of the hub pulsed violently, threatening to overload, but Jaren's hands moved with steady confidence. Mira's voice guided him, correcting mistakes before they could escalate. They were in perfect harmony, a rhythm of intelligence, courage, and heart. Finally, the system began to hum with stability. Energy flowed through the colony's networks, drones returned to standby, and the pulsing core stabilized. The challenge was complete. Echo's eyes glowed brighter, as if proud of their achievement. "You have passed the cosmic test," Echo said. "The colony's systems are fully restored. The malfunctioning drones are neutralized. Your actions have ensured the safety of every inhabitant. You have proven that humans are capable of extraordinary things, even in the face of danger and uncertainty. Jaren let out a long breath, feeling relief wash over him. Mira smiled, her eyes shining with pride and excitement. "We did it," she said softly. "We really did it." Jaren laughed, the tension finally breaking. "I can't believe we survived all of that." "I feel like we've aged 100 years in one day," Mira nudged him playfully. "And yet we're stronger for it. We've faced danger, solved impossible problems, and came out alive. Not to mention, we make a pretty good team." Jaren felt a warmth in his chest, more than the relief of surviving or the thrill of victory. It was something deeper, something he had only begun to understand: admiration, respect, and perhaps something more for Mira. She had stood by him, guided him, and challenged him in ways no one else ever had. And he realized that the heart, courage, trust, and connection was as vital as any technical skill or knowledge as they prepared to leave the lower decks.
Akko spoke again.
"Your journey is not over. There are still mysteries within the colony, knowledge left behind by the first humans that could shape the future. But you have proven that, with courage, intelligence, and heart, humanity can rise to meet any challenge." Jaren glanced at Mira. "More mysteries?" he asked, a spark of excitement returning. "You mean another adventure?" Mira laughed, her eyes twinkling. "I think we deserve it, don't we? After everything we've done, we're ready for whatever comes next." Jaren smiled, feeling a sense of confidence he had never known. "Then let's face it together." As they emerged from the lower decks, the city above was bathed in soft sunlight filtering through the orbital dome. Life went on as usual, unaware of the danger they had just overcome. Jaren and Mira walked side by side, their bond strengthened by the trials they had faced. They knew the universe was vast, full of unknowns and challenges. Yet they also knew that together they could face whatever came their way. For Jaren, the adventure had become more than survival. It was a journey of the heart. And as he looked at Mira, he realized that the trust and courage they shared were the true foundation of every discovery and every victory. And in that moment, amidst the quiet hum of the city and the lingering echoes of the past, Jaren understood something profound: that humanity's greatest strength was not in technology alone, but in the courage, curiosity, and connection that lived within the human heart. The days after restoring the lower deck systems passed quietly, but Jaren felt restless. He and Myra had spent hours repairing, exploring, and learning from the ancient machinery, yet a lingering sense of unfinished business remained. The colony above Nova Arcadia thrived, bustling with life. Unaware of the dangers the two teenagers had faced and conquered, Jaren was in his workshop, tinkering with a small drone when Mira walked in, her expression a mix of excitement and determination. "Jaren," she said, holding a holographic tablet, "I found something. Something big. Echo says it could affect the colony's future if we don't act fast." Jaren looked up, curiosity sparking in his eyes. "Another adventure?" "Exactly," Mira said, sliding the tablet toward him. A map appeared, showing hidden energy conduits beneath the city. "These are ancient power channels. If left unchecked, they could overload. It's rare, but it could create a chain reaction, affecting the entire city. Echo says the first colonists tried to stabilize them, but time and neglect have made the systems unstable." Jaren's brow furrowed. "So we have to go down there, fix it." Mira nodded. "We do. And this time, it's not just about protecting the colony. It's about ensuring humanity's work lasts for the generations to come. Think of it as legacy work." Jaren took a deep breath. He had faced danger before, but the thought of failing this time felt heavier. Yet, he knew Mira would be by his side, and somehow, that gave him courage. They descended into the city's energy core chambers, following Echo's precise instructions. The lower levels were dark and silent, filled with humming machinery that vibrated through the walls. Occasionally, sparks shot from overloaded conduits, and Jaren quickly moved to stabilize them with Myra's guidance. "This is incredible."
Right.
Myra whispered, running her hand along a cooling pipe. The first colonists left everything with care. Even after centuries, their work still has power. It's like they're speaking to us across time. Jaren smiled. Yeah, and now we're the ones keeping their message alive. That's kind of amazing, isn't it? Mira nodded, and for a moment, they walked in silence, letting the hum of the machinery fill the space. Then, suddenly an alarm blared through the chamber. One of the main conduits had begun to overload, its energy readings spiking dangerously. Jaren rushed forward, scanning the panels. This is bad. We need to redirect the flow, now. Myra's hands flew over the controls, following Echo's instructions. Divert the power to the secondary nodes. Faster, Jaren. The energy surged violently, crackling in the air like lightning. Sparks flew across the chamber, illuminating their determined faces. Jaren's fingers moved with precision, reconnecting circuits, while Mira adjusted the flow regulators. The room shook under the pressure, but together, they managed to stabilize the conduit. The alarm stopped, leaving a tense silence. Jaren exhaled, wiping sweat from his forehead. That was to close. Mira smiled, though her own hands trembled slightly. We did it. We really did it. Again. As they moved deeper into the chambers, the challenges grew. Energy cores pulsed unpredictably. Conduits crossed in confusing patterns, and old machinery threatened to collapse. Every time, Jaren and Mira relied not just on their intelligence, but on their ability to anticipate each other's actions. Their connection was seamless. He could sense her decisions before she spoke. She trusted him to act instinctively. At one point, a massive energy surge threatened to fry the entire network. Jaren froze for a second, paralyzed by the magnitude of the problem. Mira grasped his arm. Trust yourself, Jaren, she said softly. We've done this before. We can do it again. Together. Her words cut through his fear. He nodded and acted, following the rhythm of their teamwork. Sparks flew, panels beeped, and slowly the energy stabilized. Jaren felt a rush of relief, and Myra gave him a triumphant grin. You're amazing, he said quietly, looking at her. Myra's cheeks warmed. You two, we're pretty unstoppable, aren't we? Jaren chuckled, though his heart thumped for a reason beyond pride. It was the first time he admitted to himself that the bond he shared with Mira was more than friendship. Something deeper had taken root, growing quietly alongside their adventures. Finally, they reached the central stabilization hub. Here, massive conduits converged, and the energy readings were at their highest. Echo's voice guided them through a precise sequence to synchronize all channels. A delicate process requiring both patience and intuition. This is it, Echo said. One mistake could overload the system. Focus, trust each other, and act carefully. Jaren nodded, taking Mira's hand briefly as they approached the panels. The gesture was small, but grounding. He felt her courage flow into him, giving him clarity. Mira smiled back, her eyes reflecting the pulsing lights around them, step by step. They adjusted conduits, rerouted energy, and balanced the cores. Sparks lit the room, alarms blared briefly, and sweat ran down their faces, but they worked in perfect harmony. Each correction brought the system closer to stability, and each success deepened their trust in one another. At last, the final sequence clicked into place. The conduits hummed steadily, energy flowing smoothly throughout the city. The danger had passed. Jaren and Mira collapsed against a wall, exhausted but triumphant. We did it, Mira whispered, eyes shining with relief. The colony is safe, and the systems are stabilized. Jaren smiled, feeling a warmth that had nothing to do with adrenaline. We really make a good team, he said. Mira laughed softly. The best team. As they rested, Echo approached them. Your courage, intelligence, and trust in each other have proven extraordinary. Humans are capable of more than even the first colonists imagined. You have not only protected the colony, but ensured the preservation of knowledge for future generations. Jaren glanced at Myra, feeling a mix of pride and affection. We couldn't have done it without each other, he said. Mira squeezed his hand, her eyes meeting his, and we never will. That's what makes us strong. For a long moment, they stood in the glowing chamber, surrounded by the hum of the restored systems. Outside, the city shimmered under the orbiting dome, unaware of the dangers it had narrowly avoided. Inside, Jaren and Myra shared a quiet victory, a moment of connection forged through challenge, courage, and shared purpose. "I think I understand now," Jaren said softly. "Love, trust. It's not just about feelings. It's about courage, partnership, and heart. That's what keeps people strong." Mira smiled, a gentle warmth lighting her face. "Exactly. And it's also why you have to follow your heart, Jaren. It leads to the right choices even when it's hard." Jaren nodded, feeling the truth of her words resonate within him. He realized that their journey was more than just adventures, or heroics. It was a journey of growth, understanding, and connection. Together, they had faced danger, solved impossible problems, and discovered the true strength of humanity. As they left the energy chambers, moving toward the city above, Jaren felt lighter, freer, and more confident than ever. Mira walked beside him, her presence steady and comforting. And he knew that whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them side by side. The city sparkled beneath them, alive with human life, and yet a quiet energy lingered in the upper decks, a reminder of the past and the future intertwined. Jaren realized that their heroism was not just in solving crises, but in nurturing hope, trust, and the human spirit. As they stepped into the sunlight of Nova Arcadia's streets, Jaren turned to Mira. "You know," he said, "I used to think adventure was about excitement and danger. But now, I think it's about heart, about trust, about who you choose to face the world with." Mira smiled warmly. "And you've chosen well, Jaren. We're ready for anything." Jaren felt a surge of determination. Humanity had built this colony with hope, knowledge, and courage. And he knew that with Mira by his side, he could honor that legacy, face any challenge, and embrace whatever the future held in that moment. The young adventurers realized something powerful. True heroism was not just in facing danger, but in protecting what mattered, standing together and trusting the heart to guide them. And for Jaren and Mira, their hearts had found courage, friendship, and the beginnings of something even more extraordinary. As the sun set over Nova Arcadia, painting the city in warm gold, Jaren and Mira walked on, ready to face new horizons, new discoveries, and the unknown adventures that awaited. The colony thrived, humanity's spirit endured, and two hearts had found a bond that would shine brighter than the stars above. Weeks had passed since Jaren and Mira had restored the colony's ancient systems. Life in Nova Arcadia returned to its normal rhythm, ships gliding between platforms, markets bustling with activity, and children laughing in the sunlit streets. Yet for the two young adventurers, nothing would feel quite normal again. They had seen the hidden workings of the city, touched the legacy of the first colonists, and faced dangers that tested both their minds and their hearts. Jaren stood on the observation deck once more, looking at the endless stars beyond the dome. His fingers brushed against the railing as he reflected on everything that had happened. He could still feel the hum of the restored energy cores beneath the city, the warmth of Mira's hand in his, and the thrill of navigating the ancient machines. For the first time, he felt a quiet confidence in himself, a sense that he was capable of more than he had ever imagined. Mira joined him quietly, her eyes tracing the same horizon. She had always been brave and curious, but the adventure had deepened her understanding of herself as well. She no longer saw danger as something to fear, but as a challenge to overcome with knowledge, courage, and heart. Together they had faced the unknown and they had prevailed. "You're quiet," Myra said softly, nudging him with her shoulder. Jaren smiled. "I'm thinking about everything, about the adventure, the city, us, and the future." Mira tilted her head. "The future? Yes," Jaren said, looking out at the stars. "I realized something. All these machines, these systems, the colony, they were built with care, hope, and trust. And I think we've learned the same thing. Courage, curiosity, and heart. That's what really matters. That's what makes humans strong." Mira smiled, her dark eyes warm. "You finally get it. I knew you would." Jaren felt a quiet happiness. He had learned more than he could have imagined, not just about machines or survival, but about himself and the people who mattered most. Mira had guided him, trusted him, and challenged him. And in the process, he had come to understand that the heart, the willingness to care, to trust, and to act was more important than any knowledge or skill alone. Suddenly, Echo appeared beside them, its metallic frame gleaming softly in the sunlight. "Humans," it said, its melodic voice calm and proud, "your journey has been extraordinary. You have not only protected the colony, but also ensured the continuation of knowledge left by the first colonists. Your courage and teamwork are a testament to humanity's spirit." Jaren chuckled. "Thanks, Echo. But I think the real lesson is about trust and heart, okay? You can have all the knowledge in the world, but it's meaningless without courage and connection." Echo's eyes glowed briefly. "Your insight is profound. Perhaps that is the greatest legacy of humanity, guided by heart." Mira laughed softly. "See, even Echo agrees." She nudged Jaren playfully. "So what now?" "Another adventure." Jaren looked at her, feeling the warmth of her presence and the bond that had grown stronger with every challenge. "Maybe," he said with a smile. "But I think first, we enjoy the moment. We've earned it." Together they walked through the city's streets, now alive with color and motion. Children waved at them, merchants called out greetings, and the hum of life surrounded them. Nova Arcadia felt alive in a way that was more than mechanical, it was human, vibrant, and full of promise. As they reached the central plaza, a crowd had gathered. Word of their exploits had spread quietly among the colonists. People smiled, applauded, and cheered for the young heroes who had saved the city from disaster twice in a single month. Jaren felt a mix of embarrassment and pride. While Mira's face shone with quiet satisfaction, a small child approached Jaren and tugged on his sleeve. "Did you really fix the robots? Did you really save the city?" Jaren knelt down, smiling. "Yes," he said. "We did. But the real heroes are everyone who built this city before us, and everyone who will keep it safe in the future." The child's eyes widened. "You mean, can all be heroes?" Jaren nodded. "Exactly. Anyone can be a hero. You just have to care, be brave, and help each other," Mira added, kneeling beside him. "And always follow your heart. That's where the strongest courage comes from." As they stood, Jaren felt a hand on his arm. Mira's eyes met his, and in that moment words were unnecessary. Their bond, strengthened through adventure, danger, and triumph, spoke louder than anything they could say. It was a connection built on trust, shared courage, and the realization that together they could face anything. The celebration continued around them, but for Jaren and Mira, the city itself seemed almost secondary. Their true reward was the knowledge that they had grown stronger, braver, and closer than ever before. They had faced the unknown, solved impossible problems, and discovered the power of teamwork and heart. Later, as the sun set, painting the sky in shades of gold and crimson, Jaren and Mira returned to the observation deck. The stars glimmered, distant yet inviting, a reminder that the universe was vast and full of possibilities. "Do you think there's more out there for us?" Mira asked softly. Jaren nodded, feeling excitement stir in his chest. "Absolutely. The universe is full of mysteries, and we've only just begun to explore. But whatever comes, I know we can handle it." Mira smiled, leaning on his shoulder. Together glanced at her, his heart swelling with both pride and affection. Together, he agreed. The city below twinkled as night fell, and for the first time, Jaren felt a deep sense of peace. They had faced danger, uncertainty, and the unknown, and they had triumphed. Not just because of knowledge or skill, but because they had courage, heart, and each other. Echo hovered silently behind them, its glowing eyes reflecting the stars. "Your journey has set an example for all humans. Courage guided by heart ensures that knowledge is never wasted. You are living proof of humanity's strength." Jaren smiled at Echo. "Thanks. We'll do our best to keep that alive." Mira squeezed his hand. "And maybe one day, others will follow in our footsteps. It's not just to explore, but to care, to trust, and to act with heart. Jaren nodded. I hope so. Humanity has always been strongest when people believe in each other, when they rise above fear, and when they follow what's right in their hearts. The night deepened, and the stars shone brightly above Nova Arcadia. The city hummed peacefully, unaware of the danger that had passed, or the young heroes who had saved it. But for Jaren and Mira, the memory of their adventures, the lessons learned, and the bond they shared would never fade. As they looked at the vastness of space, a sense of wonder filled them. They had discovered hidden worlds, awakened ancient machines, and protected their home. They had learned that heroism was not about fame or power, but about courage, heart, and connection. And as they held hands, looking toward the horizon and the stars beyond, they knew that whatever challenges the universe held, they would face them together with curiosity, bravery, and love rooted in the heart. The story of Jaren and Mira would continue written not only in the memory of Nova Arcadia, but in the enduring truth of humanity itself, that with heart, courage, and unity, even the smallest humans could achieve greatness among the stars. And so, the city slept beneath the shimmering dome, peaceful and safe, while two young adventurers looked forward to new horizons, ready to embrace whatever wonders and mysteries awaited. For them, for the colony, and for humanity, the future shone as brightly as the stars above, a future of discovery, courage, and the quiet, unstoppable power of the human heart.